Tell us about the dining experience when people come here. What can they expect?
So the menu changes weekly. There's an array of sort of smaller, medium-sized dishes, kind of giving you an opportunity to try a bunch of different things and share a few things. Casual, sort of relaxed dining. So we've adjusted from going from sharing plates, which was the initial sort of objective to sort of share 2 or 3 dishes, to more of a traditional app and main, but also the possibility of offering half portions of dishes. So people really do continue to have that opportunity to try several different dishes.
What is it about that style of food or that style of eating that you wanted to share with people?
It's just so wonderful to sit with family and loved ones and share a meal and try different flavors, textures, the sweetness, acidity, and spice of a dish. And Arup's dishes are extraordinarily well balanced and colorful.
It's been a bit of a rough go for everyone,
Yeah.
but maybe exceptionally for you guys, starting up this new venture.
Yeah, it's been tricky for sure. I think being a brand new business and then only having been open 7 weeks before we had to make the call to close down for, at that point, an indefinite period of time. They said 2 weeks, but we knew that it was going to be longer. I think at the end we were closed for almost 4 weeks, and then we only partially opened up for takeout, just Arup and I.
The beginning of this, you were explaining, has sort of been an extension of what you were doing before with Allium.
Yeah, so we had always intended to create a second location, just time and opportunity never arose, and then we were approached to take over this space for a short amount of time, and it just seemed like a natural fit. Everything kind of fell into place extraordinarily quickly and felt really good to sort of explore a second location while we continue to rebuild the first location, which is taking a lot longer than we anticipated.
Fill the viewers in on what sort of happened previously.
Yeah, so Allium experienced a fire above, the restaurant above it. There was a fire set, and unfortunately that took out the whole building, including our business. And that was at March 1st, February 28th to March 1st. So pretty devastating. Loss of everything. And
how are things moving with that? Is it
exceptionally slowly? Like anything and everything that could potentially go wrong has gone wrong, and then there was a pandemic. And then things are continuing to just go wrong, so it's a lot of patience.
Tell us about this location. What's changed? How are you managing having people coming in and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I always gave myself a little bit of extra time. When patios became a possibility, I gave myself a good 2, almost 3 weeks before I felt comfortable kind of opening to that extent. And the same with regards to inside. I did make sure that the space was ready. I just waited until I was psychologically ready to have people inside. Right now we're open in the evenings from 5 o'clock onwards, Thursday through Sunday. I think we'll probably expand on that a little bit. Takeout we're doing Thursday through Sunday. We offer dinners for 2. They can be odd numbers as well, so definitely dinner for 1 or a dinner for 5 can be created. And then we're also offering the patio and dine-in menu as takeout as well, just to create as many options as possible for people.
Have you had to change I know, like, putting something in a box for takeout isn't always, have you had to sort of modify anything?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That's why like the dinners for 2 are constructed so they can travel a little while, can be reheated a little if need be. Whereas the patio dine-in menu is more indicative of what we would offer. That can also be done for takeout. It's just a little different.
What is it about this business, this industry, that makes you want to go through all of these hoops and challenges?
I think the opportunity to sort of encourage a set of family or friends to have a lovely social evening together is really why I do it, for sure. I think it's important for us to connect in that way over food and wine.
I started cooking when I was 17. In high school, just out of high school, I was working in restaurants as a busboy, and then I started line cooking, sort of low-end places. I worked in a buffet place, and I really liked it. I liked, sort of like the camaraderie in the kitchen, and I was good at it. So basically, that took me out of university. I did 3 years, and then decided I wanted to go to cooking school. So I went to the Algonquin equivalent in Saskatoon. It's SciAst, or now it's called Sask Polytech. So that was a 1-year program, and then went into a 3-year apprenticeship program. So through that, I got the opportunity to go and work at a really nice, small French bistro, which is kind of odd for Saskatoon. But it was a chef that had grown up in France, in Nice, and he met his wife there, who was from Saskatoon. So they ended up buying this little bakery, cafe / restaurant, and that really took me forward. All those classical French techniques, and it was really exciting. A lot to learn in a really short amount of time. So we were doing whole animals and whole fish, and all the local farms. Everything was totally natural, and we knew where everything was coming from. So that really solidified what I wanted to do in restaurants and cooking.
The first dish that you want to prepare for us today, can you tell me what it is?
Yeah, so the first dish is a slow roasted brisket dish. Basically, we take the brisket, we don't really do much to it. We trim down some of the fat and stuff, just salt and pepper on it. And then we roast it really hot, about 450 for an hour till it gets a really nice crust. Onions on the bottom, some beef stock or veal stock, and then we roast it for 6 to 7 hours, depending on the size. And then we cool it down in the liquid. So that's about an 8-hour process total, and then we portion it up, and then it's where we're gonna sear it off and stuff for service.
At this point, we add a little bit of butter and start basting it like you would a steak or a piece of fish or something like that. So we're basically just trying to get some of the soft fat to go through the meat. So you got a little bit of brownness, and we're just gonna kind of glaze the top with butter. You start to see.
Another component to the dish is a polenta. So we go liquid to cornmeal, 4 to 1 is the ratio. We cook it for 20 minutes, continuously stirring on the stove until the cornmeal is fully bloomed. It's fully absorbed all the liquid, and then we cool it completely down again, and then this will just we'll sear in the pan and roast until it gets warm.
We'll just come down on the side of it like that. So this is the sauce that we made from the braising liquid of the brisket that we've cooked. And then we've added veal stock back into it, shallots, and bourbon. And then we just add a little bit of honey to give it a touch of sweetness. So we just coat that piece of brisket with this.
It must be really rewarding to go through all that process with the brisket. It takes a long, this dish takes a while to create.
Yeah, it takes a long time. It's definitely worth it in the end. You have a nice, rich, satisfying, a hearty meal for the winter and fall. And when people order it, it's a lot easier to put it out than cooking steaks and stuff. And for takeout, it goes really well because it keeps its heat nicely, and it's also very reheatable.
So we'll just reheat the carrots. They've already been roasted with thyme and garlic.
There's a few pickles, which is red onions that are sliced really thin. We blanch them in hot water, and then they go straight into a vinegar, sugar, and salt mixture with a bit of lemon juice, and that sits overnight in the fridge and cools completely down, and then it gets saturated with that acid. There's a pickled carrot part of the dish, which is, again, same thing, just sliced thin carrots. We heat up a brine, pickle them, seal them up in the fridge overnight, and then they're ready to go the next day. So not too hard, but it is a 2-day process. And then there's some peas that we quickly marinate in lemon juice and salt, and then a few little garnishes.
Not too much, but again, enough so that every bite gets a little bit. And these are carrots pickled purple carrots. So they have some nice crunch left to them.
You know, I've read a lot about the balance in your dishes, and that seems to be very important for you.
Yeah, it is. We definitely like kind of an array of texture and some like earthiness, acidity, and then the body that comes from like reductions and the meat itself, mushrooms and stuff like that. So we like to do that and then sort of balance it with something creamy or a little less acidic to cut the acid, and then you get like a really nice round flavor in the mouth.
I've been in a number of restaurants where they do their own pickling as well. Like, it seems like a really easy thing to do to kind of elevate what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need those notes to bring out flavors that would normally eat bland or you would miss because you don't have something to like draw it out. A lot of times that's done with salt. But we like to drop the salt, and I find that acid just brings out those natural flavors in whatever product you're using.
Is that your favorite dish on the menu, or?
It's the most popular dish on the menu. My favorite, I like the raw dishes myself. Whether it's winter or summer or spring, I like the raw fish and the raw beef and the vegetable dishes. Not that I don't love brisket and stuff. It's just like we said, we like to sample a ton of things, so I tend to gravitate towards like lighter dishes so that we can order like 8 things rather than only 4.
In the article that I read in Ottawa Magazine, they were talking about how you weren't going to really change the way that you do food too much, but you were going to be experimenting. Have things changed? I know like you've been dealing with a lot of other things, but have you been experimenting with other things? Or?
Yeah, I mean, so when we opened Brassica, the idea was to do, on Monday nights we did like a tapas style night at Allium. So it had all small plates for sharing. So basically we wanted to make this restaurant sort of the feature that we did on Mondays sort of all the time. That's changed a little bit since the pandemic. We've just kind of structured it to not sharing a little bit if people were feeling uncomfortable with that. And yeah, we're kind of sampling new flavors, new techniques. It's a new space too, so we kind of have to adapt. And the products, new products coming out. We're just trying to like not stay in the box that we were in, and then when Allium opens again, we'll have sort of a new fresh set of eyes on everything. The guys have been working in other restaurants and stuff, and picked up some new techniques and a new outlook really on things, staying with our base of sort of local and like vibrant food that's fun and interesting.
So the second dish that we want to make today, tell us about that one.
The second dish is basically a beet salad. So we basically cook beets all the way, and then we marinate them in lemon juice, some herbs, bay leaf, garlic, vinegar. And then there's a fried cauliflower aspect, so we're basically just deep frying cauliflower, a spice mix of cumin, smoked paprika, some like toasted fennel seed, toasted coriander. So that'll bring like a nice earthiness to the dish. It gets cut with some goat cheese, again some pickles. In this case it's pickled turnip that we pickle with some beets also, so it turns red like shawarma style. And then there's a pea puree. So we're using frozen peas in this case because it's obviously not pea season, which we soak until they totally rehydrate and puree with just a little bit of lemon juice and canola oil. And then some pomegranate seeds and a little bit of mizuna and stuff to give it some earthiness. So there should be a nice balance of acidity, some creaminess, some crunchiness from some spiced cashews that are spiced in that same spice mix, and then some warmth to like sort of melt down the goat cheese and create a sauce with the cauliflower.
Toasting your spices, does that change the?
It definitely does. What does is it kind of draws the oils out, and then we find that it also makes the seed itself more brittle, so you don't get it stuck in your teeth, and it doesn't eat like powder. So it really draws the flavor out, and then when we put it on like the warm cauliflower and stuff, it really gets fragrant as well.
There seems to be lots of different elements or lots of ingredients that go into this one.
Yeah, there is, and that's basically like you'll see there's some tomato on this dish too, and we're doing that because they're some friends of us grow the tomatoes for us in their garden, and it's the end of the season, so we kind of want to add some acidity there, and you'll find that because it's later in the season, it changes, so they have like a little more tartness. The texture is a little bit firmer and stuff, so it kind of mimics the beets as well.
And the pomegranate seeds, are they really really crunchy? How does that play?
Yeah, so they add crunch, and they add like pops of juiciness, and we're kind of following that sort of Mediterranean theme with the spices and the cauliflower and the pomegranate and stuff like that. Yeah.
Then we sort of go all over the whole dish with some cold pressed canola oil. And then this is just
fun things to do is sort of experiment with different flavors and get excited.
Yeah, I mean, we love to cook, so that's always there, and we kind of try not to stick to what we've done, even though like some dishes have carried on for 14, 15 years now. We always try to improve them, so we look at where they are, how we feel about them, like how they hold, how they serve and stuff like that, and then always try and tweak things. Even with plating and stuff, we don't set something out and then just keep going with it. Basically, I mean, during a shift, I'll change things like sometimes like 5 or 6 different times and continually try to tweak. And we've now gone to changing the menu every week. It was every month at Allium for the whole time we were open, and then here since, we got 7 weeks of it. But it just, I find the worst thing is to get bored of what you're doing. So for me, it's always about change, always about trying new things. Sometimes it works, a lot of times it doesn't, but I mean, that's the fun of it. It keeps it interesting anyways.
I'm going to move to the third dish now.
Okay.
What is that you're making for this dish?
The third dish is a dessert. It's been on our menu for 13, 14 years now, maybe longer. It's the banoffee pie, so it's super, super simple British dessert. We use a graham crumb crust. We use salted butter. We use 800 grams of graham crumb. We buy it, we don't make it. It's a Christie brand. It's the only one that works properly with salted butter. So it's 800 grams of graham crumb to a pound of butter, salted, always salted. You need that salt to carry through that sweetness. When you use unsalted butter, you can't just add salt into it. It doesn't work the same. We've tried it 100 times and it doesn't work. So we chill them overnight, and then it's just fresh banana. So you want to have equal parts crust to banana, and then we cook cans of condensed milk underwater for 3 hours. Heavy lid, so when or if they explode, you don't get burning hot caramel everywhere. It's not happened to us. It has happened to some people at home that I know. So be careful if you're going to try it. So basically, bring it to a boil, 3 hours. Keep adding water so it doesn't boil dry. Cool them down for a whole day. We don't even attempt to use them when they're totally hot because they'll spray everywhere. And then whipped cream and dark chocolate and a chocolate sauce, and that's it. Very simple. One of our our most popular dish, I think, over the years.
Is the dessert part of the dining experience waning? Is it something still that people really love to indulge in?
It seems to be going a little bit less these days, but in my opinion, you always have to have something at the end. Even if you don't finish it, you can take it home. So you definitely need that, and maybe a little whiskey or something too. It's not a meal unless you have all elements of it, so it's worth it.
Just going back to the restaurant side of things, is this still a collaboration with some other restaurateurs, or?
Yeah, so we're partnered with Dom and Harjeet from Vittoria Trattoria. Basically, they are, as you know, they also had a fire last year downtown, so they're dealing with a lot of, the headaches we're going through are completely different. It's a much bigger space, it's in the market and stuff like that. But it's been nothing but great. They do a lot of the legwork, anything we need, basically. We've never had that in the past where there's been someone to go to. If you're out of something or if there's like issues with equipment and this and that. And they're very good at it, and it really takes a load off having someone to go to. Or if they have time, if we have time, we'll definitely share resources and expertise on stuff. It's been going really, really well. So they want to get out of here more because it was sort of taking up time that they didn't really have. And we were basically working in other restaurants for 10 or 11 months last year, from March till December. And then I spoke with Dom a few times, and we came to an agreement, and if it didn't work, it's totally amicable, but it's really been a great experience.
Is that indicative of, Ottawa as a community, a food community? You're helping each other out. You two are both struggling. A lot of people are struggling right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The community in Ottawa is really, really great. I think it's just getting stronger. There is competition, but we all really want each other to succeed, and we view competition in the area as like a good thing because it draws people in, and for the most part, we're all doing different things too. So it's nice to have the variety. It's nice to create like that sort of community where we can support each other, where there's lots of sharing of ideas and new products and new vegetables and stuff like that. So we like to go out as much as possible, which is not often these days, and support our colleagues. Yeah.